Good morning, everybody. This is Van Hargis with Van Hargis Horsemanship. I appreciate you guys joining me this morning on the ranch road. Do you know how horses learn? Have you ever heard that horses learn through repetition? All right. We're going to discuss that today on the way over to the ranch because I hear that a lot. I hear that more and more from people who let's just say aren't professionals in the horse industry and aren't necessarily professional horse trainers. The average person, which is 90, I think it's roughly 97%. I think I read somewhere a few years back that only 3% of the people who own and work with horses are actually professionals, professional horse trainers or that sort of thing. So that leaves 97% of the folks out there that have horses for some other reason, recreation, hobby, maybe a tax write-off, I don't know, but you have reasons to have your horses other than to make a living with them. And that's a really cool thing. However, because that makes up the vast majority, then I think we've got to really make sure that vast majority understands truly how horses learn. And sometimes this can get a little bit controversial to a particular group of people. For example, there's a lot of folks out there that want to learn and study, sometimes they call it clicker training or some sort of positive reinforcement training. And I'm asked a lot what I think about that. And the answer is, I'm not opposed to it in the least. I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing to play with and to tinker with and to help develop a good working relationship with your horse. However, the natural way that horses learn is through the release of pressure, not the application of. We apply pressure to get a response. And then when we get the response we want, we relieve that pressure when the horse does something positive. By doing that, the horse says, oh, this is what I've got to do to take the pressure away. So that's just naturally how horses learn. They learn that way because that's the way they do each other. For example, and again, I don't mean to make fun of it, but just imagine that a horse does something really good. The other horses don't run up and give it a cookie. They don't run up and give it some of their grass. They don't go up and rub it and say, oh, good for you, and horsies or whatever. They just don't do that. So how do horses teach each other? When everything's really good, they leave each other alone. When everything is not so good, they apply pressure. In other words, what they do, they pin their ears, they chase, they do whatever, and they apply that pressure. Once the horse, the other horse does something that the pressure horse likes, they just simply take the pressure away. So that's how horses learn naturally. Now, can they learn how to learn some other way? And absolutely. And for example, with what I do all the time with my horses is that whenever I see my horses relax, whenever I've done something that stressed this horse in some way, that horse relaxes in some way, I take that pressure off and I immediately rub that horse when I see that horse release that jaw. Sometimes we refer to it as licking and chewing. So I'll touch that horse, I'll rub him a little bit, and I'll try to say something in kind of a quiet, soft tone. As a result, the horse might associate that relaxation with getting something that might be comforting to them, such as the rub or the pat, something that I think might be comfortable to them. I especially do that when I see a horse or feel a horse take a really deep breath. When I feel them just totally relax and they take that inhale and they exhale real good, then I'll rub them and I'll do whatever. The reason why is over time, I do want them to associate that relaxation with a positive reward. As a result, in my experience, I've seen horses seek that out quicker and quicker. Or if they're in doubt about anything at all, they will take that big deep breath and relax. And because they've learned how now to control their emotions and remove some of their stress. So that's one thing we want to teach the horses with that positive reinforcement. However, if we truly understand how horses learn, they learn through that release of pressure. Yet we still hear people refer to all the time as repetition, repetition, repetition. The negative thing about repetition is, again, we've got to look at why horses or how horses learn, and how horses learn is through the release of pressure. So how do we know then that the repetition doesn't get redundant to them and they begin to doubt that their answer is correct? Therefore, because they're still under pressure and doing something to the point where they're getting tired, they're getting frustrated, maybe they're just getting confused, and as a result, they begin to doubt themselves. They begin to doubt that what they're doing is correct. So they begin to look then for other answers other than that repetitive thing that you're doing over and over. So what's the answer to that? The answer that I've learned over the years is that the very second, let's say I'm working on a horse learning how to spin, and I want a horse to take a really big, nice step with his left front foot. And so I'm going to ask the horse to do so with all the appropriate cues. And when that horse takes that first big step, I'm just going to let him walk off. He takes that really big step, and I'm going to release the pressure and let him walk off. I might come back a few seconds later, though, and try it again, because then he knows that he takes that big step and the pressure comes off. Therefore, he may take that big step sooner this next time. Once he gets where he's pretty good at doing that one step and learning that at one step gives him a reward, the release of the pressure, then he's going to get pretty good at repeating that. In other words, he gets really good and successful at repeating that correct answer. Can't emphasize to you how important that is. Before you know it, you take one step, then two steps, then three steps, but each and every time you're releasing every step. Now, part of that takes a lot of faith on your part. And what I mean by that is you have to have faith in the outcome, because, to use that same analogy, if I'm teaching my horse to spin, then I have to know without a doubt that in a reasonable amount of time, this horse is going to be spinning. And then I began to work on the perfection of that spin. More speed, more correctness, or actually more correctness first. That's the number one thing. And then speed will come later. But I know that we're going to reward that horse for that first attempt, and instead of doing it over and over and over, we're going to get one step and let him do something different, come back and do another step. So yes, horses might learn through repetition, but and let's just pick a number. Let's say they're going to really get this down pat after 1,000 repetitions. Well, that 1,000 repetitions may take me a year to get. In other words, I may do it 1,000 times, but we're not going to do it 1,000 times in one day. We're not going to do it 1,000 times in one session. We're not going to do it 1,000 times in 1 week. We're going to do it 1,000 times over a reasonable amount of time, so that the horse learns each and every time he does it correct, or a portion of it correct, he's going to get some sort of reward through a release of the question and or the pressure. Anyway, I hope that little tidbit helps you guys. As always, thank you so much for joining me on the Ranch Road. If you have any questions or comments about this one, don't forget to leave those for us. If you'd like to contact us in a more private way, feel free to message us or email us at info@vanhargis.com. Thank you guys again. Until next time, this is Van Hargis with Van Hargis Horsemanship.